Hello, my name is Glennda Baker. I am a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia, and I want to welcome you to the Glennda Show. Today, I'm here with one of my favorite lenders, Brian Berman with Mortgage Atlanta. Brian, welcome, welcome.
Hey, Glennda.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe that we are actually sitting down to talk.
And we found time.
I know, because we're both, it's been busy.
It's busy.
It's busy. So I know that you do a lot of business with a lot of agents. So I'm gonna kick it off with some ego feeding for the Diamond Squad. Tell me, what is your favorite thing about working with us?
So the unique thing about the Diamond Squad is everyone has their role, everyone has a thing to do, and they do it so well. And there are other teams that are out there, and they work and they function and they do things inside their team, but no one commingles, does things so well. It's just, it's a full circle. There are a lot of half circles out there, but it's the full circle or the full star.
That's right. I love it.
All the points of the star are there.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What a great analogy. That was so cool. So you're right. Everybody kind of stays in their lane.
Yeah.
And nobody is like driving you crazy. Or maybe Tiffany's driving you crazy because that's her job.
It's her job.
Yeah. Super. But, talking about Tiffany, she has a really vital role from contract to closing, which is kind of where you come in.
Yeah.
And so, some lenders really, they don't love her.
They don't answer her call.
They won't answer her call.
Yeah.
That is one thing that I will say about you that I absolutely love. Whenever I call you, you pick up the phone.
Yeah, you have to. You have to in this industry. If you don't pick up the phone, it just destroys the transaction. It really does. I don't mean if you don't pick up the phone in 10 seconds. If you don't call the person back that day, you've got to communicate in this industry. You've got to be the point of contact that everyone can rely on, because all things, when there's a mortgage, all three things flow through the mortgage company.
Absolutely.
The title, the insurance, everything, appraisal, it all comes through us, and we have to have all that intricate workings. And when I say that your team is really great, she does an amazing job at keeping everyone on track, checking in on us, and we do an amazing job communicating with her that it's already been done.
Well, yeah, and that's the key. I always say that the people who don't like Tiffany are the people who don't do their job.
Yeah.
So you never ever have a problem answering the phone because you're doing your job.
Yeah.
And it's like I always say, bad news doesn't get better with time.
Yeah.
And trust me, you cannot run and hide from us because we will hunt you down like a hound dog.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's probably one of the things you love about us though, Brian.
Oh, I got the phone call from her a few times. Hey, do you know someone at this bank? They're not answering the phone.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So there's probably a few things that make you crazy.
Yes.
You would probably call them pet peeves. I don't know that I would use that word, but I think you probably like it.
Yeah.
Tell me, like what is your pet peeve about the process, or like where do people go astray?
So right now, this is one that's happened more times this month than I can count. Number one, if you're a real estate agent and you don't answer the phone and your voicemail is full, how do you communicate with people? I can't figure that out. I can't figure out I don't want to say your one job, because that's not true. You have many, many, many jobs in the transaction. But one of the main jobs of a real estate, from listing to buying to selling, is to take appointments, answer phone calls, and communicate, right?
Right.
And if you have a full voicemail, that can't happen. You can't do your job. If I want to see a house and your voicemail's full, you just lost a client. So we call a real estate agent, we have an issue with a contract.
Yeah.
We've got one right now.
Yeah.
The attorney charges, I'm gonna give you a dollar amount and you're gonna go, $1,500 total fees. That would be the most expensive closing attorney in my 15-year career in Georgia.
Oh my stars, are you serious?
$1,500, all their fees combined were $1,500. That's a lot.
That is a truckload.
That's $200 or $300 over the average.
Absolutely.
And so I called the agent and I'm like, hey, voicemail. Oh, voicemail's full. Email, nothing. 2 days go by. Buyer's upset.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because when we showed them the numbers up front, we were expecting a much lower number for the attorney, and we're going to change the attorney. That's the end of the goal. We're going to change the attorney. I already talked to the attorney. They weren't willing to change their fees. I sent them 3 fee sheets from other attorneys that are respectable in Georgia, and they go, no, we're not changing it.
Oh, interesting.
And so pet peeve number 1, don't have a full voicemail as a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And if you do, you know that you do, delete them.
Well,
or have someone check them for you.
Well, what's crazy though is if I'm a buyer and I'm calling and the real estate agent's voicemail is full, the only message I'm getting is you're too busy for me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take my business somewhere else.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, that would scare the hell out of me if I were a client of that agent, because I would be thinking nobody can get in touch with them. And there's never a problem until there's a problem. And when there's a problem, it's an urgent problem. The train is going off of the track. And if you don't stop it soon enough, it's derailed. You can't get it back on. So yeah, that's a huge problem. I cannot believe that.
Yeah. And I'm going to share this. I don't know if you want me to share this. I'm going to share this anyway. Like, that doesn't happen with you. Right? Because when you're not there, you've got two phones.
Right.
You've got your real estate phone and you've got your personal phone. Like, your real estate phone goes to someone else.
Right.
It goes to Evelyn, Elizabeth, Tiffany, someone that answers the phone for you, so you don't get backlogged like that.
Right. Exactly.
And then there's a communication process that goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
So that doesn't happen with your team, but it happens a lot with other real estate agents.
Well, I always say that a team operates better than one person. I mean, just because there's when you're on the court, when you're playing basketball, even though I'm the Michael Jordan of real estate, self-proclaimed, obviously, I can't take every single shot. Even Michael Jordan needs a Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
So you've got to have a great team together. And you're an extension of our team.
Yeah.
We love working with you because we know, number one, that you're a great reflection of our team. You're an extension of our team. You have the same values as us. One thing that is, I have this one rule: nobody loses their earnest money.
Yeah.
And when we first sat down, I said, "Hey, Brian, I have a rule.
Yeah.
The buyer never loses their earnest money. You got to be willing to play under my rules if you want to be on the team." And you're like, "Absolutely, Glennda, I understand."
Yeah.
Because the time limits in the contract aren't written in pencil. And so I expect all the time limits to be met.
Yeah.
And what did I tell you? You can extend, you can decline, or you can approve the loan within the limits of the time of the contract.
Yeah.
Or you get to refund their earnest money if there's an issue, right?
Absolutely. You have to. You got to put your money where your mouth is. If you're going to write the pre-approval letter, pre-qualification letter for someone, and you talk to the real estate agent up front, you help collaborate that contract, you've got to take responsibility if you mess up. If you didn't get something done or communicate during the time frame, then it's your responsibility. It's my responsibility as the person. And then, I don't know if I can say this, but if you work at a big bank, let's say, they don't have the ability to do that. They can't take responsibility, because what are you going to do as an employee of another company? You can't do that. And who are you going to call, the CEO of a big bank? No, they're not going to take responsibility.
No.
They're not going to take your call. As the owner of Mortgage Atlanta, we're a mortgage bank, we're a mortgage lender. I take responsibility for that. I take that very, very seriously. It's probably one of the most important things we have in our process and our checklist systems is making sure stuff is done on time. And if it's not going to be done on time, we have to let people know, not the day of, not the day before, but at least 2 days before. That way we can communicate.
Bad news doesn't get better with time.
No.
Isn't that right, Brian?
That's right.
Most memorable transaction.
So this could be part of another pet peeve too.
Oh, my stars and stripes.
But this goes right to that.
Okay.
So most memorable transaction is probably, I want to say 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I get a contract, and the person says I'm being unrepresented. And I'm like, oh gosh, okay, I'm going to have to get involved now. I act as the question answerer when there's no real estate agent involved. But I got this contract, and I gave the guy a pre-approval letter, everything, got the contract, and it's a large property up in North Georgia, in Gainesville, Cumming area, somewhere there. And the contract says, and I don't remember the exact number, but it said it included 2 pigs, 3 cats, 2 donkeys, an F-150 pickup truck, a tractor trailer, and a couple chickens in the contract.
Okay.
And I said, you can't include, things, non-fixtures in your purchase and sales agreement. And I said, it's just not allowed. And so the buyer hangs up the phone, calls the other party calls me and starts screaming and yelling, "It's allowed, I've done this before, I've sold many farms." And I go, well, this isn't a farm, it's a house, and you just happen to have some livestock on there.
Right.
And he is screaming and yelling, "It's perfectly allowed, I checked with my attorney, I can do what I want." I said, no, you can.
Yeah.
But as a mortgage company, we don't allow it. That transaction, we had to do so many amendments to fix the things that didn't get asked. I think we ended up with 15 or 16 amendments on that contract. And it was because they would do something and then check with me. And at the end of the day, they had one closing for the residential stuff, and then I don't know what happened with the livestock or any of that other stuff. But he converted that property. It's really cool now. He's got the house in the front. He knocked down all of the farm stuff, and he has a soccer field in the front.
Oh my
he made
gosh.
a full soccer field, full thing. And now he hosts youth soccer there as a hobby, just for fun.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of cool that it came to that transaction.
Yeah.
That's the most memorable one. I just remember saying, I don't think I'd ever said, you can't include pigs in the contract.
Well, you know what I always say, happy as a pig in a puddle.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
The contract.
It's a little Glenndaism. Yeah. Okay, so Brian, so let's think through this. So if there's one thing that every single buyer should think about before and during the process, what is the one thing that's most important for buyers?
Being honest.
Well, I would think that that's probably important throughout the transaction.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. People go, I didn't want to tell you that. I didn't want to do this. We get that comment all the time. I didn't want to tell you I was changing jobs until after the closing. I didn't want to tell you that the down payment was a gift until it was already in my account. I didn't want to tell you that we just had this, and there's nothing wrong with this. We just had a client send money, I think it was from Ukraine, to the United States. And there was a $30,000 deposit in their bank account, and we didn't know what it was. We asked them what it was. My parents gave me $30,000. And I said to them, well, okay, we have to document. It's a gift. It's real super simple. Can you get me a copy of your parents' bank statements to show us the transfer coming out? My parents used cash. So we have to go through this. They're going to get their mortgage. Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. But if we had known that up front, we could have taken different steps. So being honest, telling people about the process, don't try to surprise us with stuff, and we don't want to find out stuff afterwards. That's really the biggest things that we see, that if we catch that up front, we can save people a lot of time, money, and effort.
Of all the things that I thought you were going to say, that was probably not what I thought you were going to say. But I love it because I didn't really think about, like, when we're coaching buyers in the beginning of the process, we probably need to stop and say, look, the mortgage person is kind of like the doctor. You need to tell them every single thing because they're going to find out eventually when they take the blood.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell another interesting story.
Tell me.
So I had a client, and this is real stuff. This is really what happens. And people go, this can't be true. This really can't happen. This really happens. Client purchased a house.
Okay.
He worked for FedEx.
Okay.
Great guy, super great guy. He was also in the reserves.
Yep.
And he bought a house here in Georgia, flew for FedEx, no problem, closed on his house. A few weeks later, and I didn't know this, he took out an apartment in Tennessee.
Okay.
All right, so he is in the reserves, and he got some kind of promotion. Something happened where if he was able to spend more time in Tennessee, he could get a promotion, more money, or something like that. I don't know what the whole story was. But about a month after the closing, I get a knock on the door from a federal agent. And he shows me his badge, and it's an FBI badge. And I'm, okay, what's going on here? Help me. Someone tell me what and we're investigating so-and-so for mortgage fraud, occupancy fraud. And I said, well, okay, let's talk. And he showed me the subpoena that he had from a judge and everything. And we checked with our attorneys to make sure it was all real. And so we showed him the documents. And he bought the house and everything. And then, you say that you're going to occupy the house for 12 months.
Right.
And
right.
He bought and what they found was the credit check for the water bill in Tennessee triggered the mortgage fraud investigation for occupancy.
Oh, wow.
So he didn't tell me that he was going to get another apartment in Tennessee. And it happened after the closing.
Thank goodness.
And so the question was, is he still living in Georgia, or is he living more in Tennessee now? So the outcome of the story was we had a letter from the commanding officer telling him what date he was notified of his raise. It was after he had closed on his house. And the FBI agent said, okay, we can let this one go, but he still committed mortgage fraud. That type of stuff happens in real life. So when you tell us and you're honest about stuff, hey, I'm buying this house for my parents. Hey, I'm buying this for my kids. when you tell us that stuff, we can structure a mortgage that's going to protect you. That guy could end up in jail for mortgage fraud. 30 years in jail and $1 million fine is the occupancy fraud maximum penalty.
Over an apartment.
Over an apartment in Tennessee. So again, honesty. Tell us what's going on. Tell us the truth. Tell us the full story, and we'll get you the right loan.
I love it. That is so awesome, Brian. I will tell you, I didn't really even think about that, but I will tell you, although I'm not going to tell you the story behind it, I had a little visit from the FBI one time, and the first thing that went through my head was like, okay, what did I do wrong? I mean, it's the first thing that you think when the FBI comes knocking is like, holy crap, what did I do? So,
your heart, oh geez.
Yeah. Again, I digress. I won't go into that very much longer. Anyway, so anything that buyers could do besides be honest, that would help the process go more smoothly.
I think going into it, keeping good records, right? So, I've got clients, I don't have my tax returns. I don't know where they are. First off, you should keep your tax returns.
Right.
That's important.
How many years?
I think the rule is 5 years, but we're only going to look back a year or 2 years,
okay.
Right? But as a rule, you should keep your tax returns for 5 years. I mean, digital or hard copy, you need to have access to them in case you ever get audited. I think it's 5 years. I don't know the exact number, but you should have that. I don't have my W-2s. I change jobs. I don't have my pay stubs. I get digital pay stubs. I don't save those. I delete the email. Those types of things, if keeping those documents when you're getting into the mortgage process helps speed up the process. You don't have to re-request stuff and stuff like that. But in terms of getting stuff to us, the technology has changed so much easier anyway with digital mortgages and all that. So that the need for those is going down.
How long have we known each other, Brian?
It's got to be 4. Our first closing was probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Right.
You don't probably remember our first closing. Do you remember it?
I do remember it. It was right over there in Vinings.
It wasn't. How do you remember that? I remember that. And
it's a steel trap.
And you walked in.
Scary steel trap.
And I was representing the buyer. You were on the seller side.
Yes.
And you brought me a cake.
I know.
It was the coolest thing.
Glennda Baker.
It was the cake. And then
and you remembered me.
Oh, absolutely. And that was our first transaction together. And then a week later, randomly, we had another one, and there was a second cake.
That's right.
So I left the first cake at the office, and we ate it at the office.
Okay.
Brought the second cake home, and we ate it at home. And so now, when can we get our next closing with Glennda? We want more cake. And now the joke is, you have to stop bringing me cakes.
I know. It kills us because we love that. But let me tell you a funny story. So I was talking to somebody day before yesterday, and he says to me, he's like, so Glennda, what's the deal with the cakes? And so I was telling him, used to before when we would all go to a closing, we would take 5 cakes to the closing.
Yeah.
The buyer, the seller, the lender, the attorney, the other agent. And he's like, but why would you do that? Why would you give cakes to everybody? And I said to him, I said, people trust people that give them food. And he looked at me and he's like, you're serious? And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm dead serious. And he's like, why would you think that? And I'm like, what is the first thing your mother tells you? Don't take food from a stranger. Don't take candy from a stranger.
Yeah.
So immediately when you accepted the food, number one, I'm no longer a stranger. When you ate it and it was yummy, you then all of a sudden trusted me because I gave you something that tasted good. He's like, you are insane. Crazy, insane. It's good though. And I'm like, crazy like a fox. So, but you know the whole story about Glennda Baker, about the little boy who called me Glennda Baker all of my life?
I know you told it to me.
Yeah, 1,000 times. I can't believe Brian.
I don't remember the whole story.
The little boy who every day when I came in to homeroom, it's Glennda Baker, Glennda Baker. And then some agent gave me a cake at closing. And I was like, this has got some legs on it. And then we started doing the cakes. And your cake, we put your face on it and your company logo. And so it's really
and
cool.
The kids now, we've had so many cakes. The kids get a cake now and everything.
Yeah,
so.
and they love it.
Absolutely.
And they remember me, don't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you're ever in a closing and you don't get a cake, there's something wrong.
It's because you acted up.
Yeah.
That's right. Brian, it has been so awesome to spend some time with you today.
Yeah.
Any closing remarks? Anything you want to say that I've left out or we haven't covered?
No, just thank you for being so amazing.
Oh my gosh.
And your whole team.
Thank you. We love working with you. It's just been such a great relationship. And it's kind of built over a few years. We sent you a couple deals, kind of see how you work, because we want to see if we worked well with you. But
Yeah.
you know, as I said, you're amazing. We love working with you. We love working with your team. They are so great at communicating. We never have to hunt you down, and that's what I love. Because when I want an answer, I want an answer. And you know, that is kind of how I pick people that I do relationships with. Is I want to know, number one, that I'm a priority. And also, I want to be able to bring value to you. So I hope that our team is bringing value, as much value to you as you are bringing to us.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for being here on the Glennda Show. Guys, as I always say, my name is Glennda Baker. I would love the opportunity to talk real estate with you. So send me a text, tag me in a post, give me a call. That's what I love the most, because I love the opportunity to talk real estate with you today. See ya.